is Aaron from Gemini Syndrome, and you're watching Midwest Music Scene.
Hey guys, this is David with Midwest Music Scene, and we're here with Aaron of Gemini Syndrome. What's going on, man?
How are you, brother?
Pretty good. What's going on?
Here in Tulsa.
So, how's the tour going so far? I mean, this is you guys' first time out with Five Finger Death Punch, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's great, man. We're almost done. It flew by quick. You know, we only got, I think, 9 days left. 9 or 10 days left.
9 or 10 days? Wow, man.
So we've been out since the 14th of September.
Mm-hmm. And you're loving it?
Yeah.
Having a good time? Yeah.
Yeah, great crowds, man. Great shows. Great touring bands with us. Miss May I.
Mm-hmm.
Killer dudes.
Yeah, man. So, what about after this tour? I mean, immediately, you guys have to have some more touring coming up. You guys just released your first album. Like,
yeah. We're going home for a very short time to prepare. We're going to do a headline run from November to December.
Really?
The dates will be coming soon. Everything's not confirmed yet, but hopefully within the next week or two, they'll be posted. Routing will be finalized, and we'll know exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, so we could see you guys again.
We're hoping so. I think the plan is to kind of hit all of the same cities that we hit on this run.
Really?
Just kind of do a follow-up, 1-2 kind of punch.
That'll be really good. You know, you guys can see the fans that you guys have gained just from being on this tour.
Yeah, exactly.
There'll be tons of those. You guys' live show's killer. So.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, the response has been really cool with the Five Finger guys. So.
Mm-hmm. So, tell me, like, you've been on tour for a little bit now. So, what's like the most embarrassing thing that's happened on stage so far? Like, there has to be something that's like.
On the Drowning Pool run, we did a show, I think it was Cheyenne, Wyoming, and something blew out in the PA. So the front of house went completely out, but I still had my in-ears in, and I could hear myself, and I was singing, and I could hear myself, so I didn't assume anything of it. And our crew guy, Lester, came up and handed me another mic, thinking my mic had died. And I looked at him like, what do I want this for? I'm fine. I took that mic from him, okay. So I keep singing, and he's like, he points at the front of the house, and I took my ear out, and I realized that there's nothing going on. And I was just still like belting out, I think we were playing Stardust, I'm still belting out the song. And so we finished the song, and we're standing there, and I'm trying to explain to the crowd what's going on, but they can't hear me because there's no mic. So we just kind of stood there and looked at each other, and kind of the crowd and I exchanged a laugh, you know, and once it finally came back, we cracked a joke and we moved on. I mean, that's usually the worst stuff that happens is power will blow. You know, that would happen on our older tours when we were playing smaller places, and we'd use our full production, and we'd blow power circuits, and just everything in the middle of a song and you just got drums there, you know, and I'm singing to nothing. So that's about the worst that happens.
I know, man, and some of those little places are scary, dude. Like, there's a video online of the lead singer of Amir picks up a mic, starts singing, and gets shocked. Yeah, and just like down.
Was that movie,
I guess this guy saw that video. Yeah.
Was that movie Rockstar or one of those where they have heard Almost Famous? I think that happens. The same thing. It hasn't happened to me yet, thank God. So.
Yet. Yeah. Yeah. So, what's the biggest struggle that you guys have found with being an up-and-coming act? I mean, like, especially in the rock world nowadays, like, it's got to be tough.
Yeah, it's a different world than it used to be, for sure.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part would be, for lack of a better word, staying power. Like, we'll play these shows, let's say we play to 2,000 kids, and the response is great. You know, really enthusiastic from all these fans. The real test is to get them to come back again. You know, that's because we're in a day and age where people's attention spans are a lot shorter than they have been. People have called it the microwave generation, and you know, there's so much stimulus at all times from all angles. You know, whether it be on the internet or TV or whatever, and there's just so much stuff coming at you. It's you got to really grab their attention and hold on to it for dear life. You know, and just make them want to come back, make them feel like they're part of a community and part of something bigger than all of us, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's been a big goal of ours.
So, like, starting about, like, you guys being a newer band, like, what, a lot of bands are going independent now. So, like, what made you sign? Like,
well, when the offer was put on the table, the team that we have in place, are people that we trust and we work really well with, and they believed in what we're doing as much as we do. That was a big part of it. You know, they're on our side. They get what we're trying to do. They get our vision, and they're willing to work with us to achieve that. You know, so that was a huge part of it. Just making sure that the people involved with you are on the same page as you are, and really have faith in the product and in the message that we propagate.
Yeah. So, I mean, you talked about your vision. So, like, how would you personally define success? Like, what would make you, like, wake up and be like, I'm a successful musician,
Well, I mean, in that sense, I've already achieved that to some degree. I mean, we get to do this on a constant basis. We've been on the road since February, more or less nonstop. So, I mean, this is our job. In that sense, that is success. I don't have to punch a time card anymore, which is great. And I love what I do. So, I've worked many jobs over the years, and this is by far the most fulfilling because it's a passion.
Yeah.
I mean, you could define success by I have a house in the hills or something like that, and that's not really it. The fact that we get to do what we're doing all the time, really, it's already there. It's just upward from here.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, be able to wake up and say, I'm doing what I love to do. I mean, that's got to be success in its own very way. I mean, that's the biggest form of success, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
So,
my friend said that a job is something you have to go to. A career is something you love.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the best way you can put it.
Yeah.
Seriously. So, what are some bands you're listening to right now? Like, what do you just listen to on a regular basis?
I've been in a prog state for quite a while. Carnival, Catatonia. Been really big into Tech Nine for the last couple of years. The new Tech Nine record's awesome.
He's killer, man. He's he's above so many people in that game. It's just ridiculous.
He is. And the fact that he's collaborating with people like Chino and Steven from the Deftones. He's got Surge on his new record, and he was on the
Five Finger record.
He's on that. And I heard talk that he wants to try to do a rock project, which I thought was awesome. I think he should absolutely go that direction.
He can pull it off.
Of course he could.
Easy. He can pull off anything.
Yeah, he's a genius, dude. I'm very seasonal when it comes to music too. So now that it's getting back into fall, I'm sure I'll fall back into like Typo Negative, and that kind of. It's always it always cycles out, but definitely a lot of Carnival, a lot of Catatonia, a lot of Opeth.
Really? Yeah, we did their show not too long ago. Yeah, those guys were killer.
They're so good.
Yeah.
They've been one of my favorite bands for 15 years.
Really? So so they were like a big influence on you.
Yeah. They were one of the I guess accidental buys. When I was a kid, I was walking through some hole in the wall music shop and I saw My Arms, Your Hearse. I saw the cover. I was like, that looks cool. Never heard of them before. And picked it up and became, still to this day, one of my favorite records.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of their first albums.
So you think that kids should be doing that nowadays? Like, I mean, you said you walked in and just saw an art cover and you're like, man, that looks cool.
Yeah.
Like, I think, honestly, you got the cover for Lux is sweet.
Thank you.
So, like, that would be a record I could do that with. I see that and I'm like, man, that's a cool cover. These guys got to be good.
I did a lot of that when I was younger. Not so much anymore because it is the digital age, And
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of shopping because we're traveling all the time. But, yeah, I would walk into a store and just, based on a band name or based on album artwork, and it's hit or miss. There was definitely some records we got that were like, yes, this is amazing, like the Opeth record.
Yeah.
And there was some records that didn't stand up so well. And we were like, well, there's $12 down the drain, but it is what it is. That's the game. You're gambling at that point.
Right.
So.
There's my lunch money for tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah, back in those days.
So, let's talk about the record a little bit. Like, what's the most personal song on the record? Like in your head, like what?
Basement's pretty personal. That's just a blatant discussion of me being a teenager with albinism,
Really?
and my conversation with God at the time, and being angry about it, not really understanding where I fit in society and in my peer group.
So what does Basement stand for exactly? Like what the title?
Well, it was a working title in the beginning, but it kind of worked out in the sense that as a kid, and even if I could now, I would. I always lived in the basement because it was darker.
Really?
I'm photosensitive, being albino, so
Yeah.
it was always darker. I always lived in the basement. It was colder too, so I like the cold. So it just it was just an ironic kind of happenstance that it worked out that way. The other one would be Morning Star. I wrote that at a really stressful time in my life. It's not directly related to anything I was going through necessarily at the time. That song is more of a diatribe about the fall of Lucifer from heaven, and in that sense a metaphor for everybody's kind of battle with their own faith in, I don't want to say God necessarily, but their place in the universe, and your purpose for being here. But yeah, I went through a very very emotional point when I was writing that song. That was a
Really?
really heavy emotional time for me to put that on paper.
So that's funny because like whenever I had first put on Lux, whenever we got it sent to us, I put on Lux, and as soon as I hit Morning Star, that's when I was like, man, like he had to have been like thinking so hard and had something going on in his head when he wrote this song, because that was just, I mean, from the beginning, as soon as that song starts, I mean, it hits you in the chest and just
Yep.
keeps going and going and going and going,
Yep.
and that's great. Whenever you can provoke that kind of emotion in someone else,
Yeah.
you know you're onto something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it stemmed from my own personal emotion.
Yeah.
A lot of people have, since the record came out, have said that that's their favorite tune on the record, and which is really gratifying to know that at least that period was worth it. In some regard, that it affected somebody else in a positive way. So
Well, that's what's going to keep bands staying around, is writing stuff that people can relate to. People, you can sit down, they can listen to it and be like, I feel how he was feeling when he was writing this song. It might not be the same situation,
Right.
but there's still that same feeling that you can have.
Sure. I mean, even with Basement, you look at that, like I said, it's very particular to my situation. Not everybody grew up with albinism.
Yeah.
But at the same time, everybody was a teenager. Everybody was trying to find
Yeah.
their sense of identity at that point and figure out where the hell they fit in. Everybody can relate to that, and that's been a really resonant song with a lot of people for that reason.
Yeah, because, I mean, you didn't write it about one specific topic. I mean, you made it a wide range enough to where people can still relate, and that's how you stay. I mean,
It's a big goal of mine, is to have it be ambiguous enough that it can be personal to me, but it can still be personal to someone else. Because all the bands that I grew up listening to, like, all affected me in that way. As far as lyrically, I have to refer to Tool. Maynard is so good at writing vaguely enough that like, what is Jimmy about to him? I don't know. I have no clue, but I know how I interpret it. Push It. What is that song about to him? I don't know, but I know what it meant to me. And all the really great writing. Incubus was really great at that too, about writing things that, Lord knows what it meant to him. But it affected me on a certain level, and that's why it resonates. And you still go back. 10 years later, I'm still listening to those records.
And that's what matters to people. It's like, if I can feel something, I want to listen to this song.
You can relate to it.
Yeah. Something that just, I mean, you can't really describe the feeling, man. It's just something that you just, I honestly, when I heard Morning Star, dude, I got cold chills. Like, that was a killer song. Everything about that song was just, it's just crazy. It's overwhelming. It really was. I mean, it's just, I'll hit you like a sack of potatoes.
That's awesome, man. I take that as a huge compliment.
So,
He's
keeping
looking
on
for Jerry.
I know, Jerry. So, keeping on with the record, like, what? You guys had the EP, which had like Basement, what was it? Syndrome, Ressurection. I mean, there's a bunch of songs that you took from that and put onto the record. I mean, did you guys go re-record all those? And then, I mean, was there a reason for that, or did you just feel like these are strong enough songs to be on our album, like they have to be here?
Yeah, probably, that's pretty accurate. When we went in to do this record with Kevin Churko, we had an enormous amount of material to pick from, and it was not the easiest decision-making process that I've been through in my life, I'll tell you that. We sat for quite some time before even going into the studio, narrowing down the catalog we had to possible selections. And then once we got in the studio, there was even more of a fine-tooth comb running through it to decide what we really wanted our first statement to be. And that's not to say that some of those songs won't be used in the future. It's not to say they will either. You know, depending if we write more stuff that we're like way more confident in or feeling more at that time, then who knows. But songs like Basement and Ressurection, and Syndrome were kind of just, I think, staples of the sound that we were trying to create at the time, and wanted that to be our initial kind of introduction.
Well, that, as I said, I love Morning Star. My favorite song that you guys have done is Ressurection. That song is just killer.
Thanks,
everything
man.
about that song is killer.
Come up the steps, another flight of steps.
And it will always be killer.
Thanks, man.
So what? I mean, you guys changed it a little bit in the album. I mean, you went from pure screaming to the screaming, singing kind of
The call and
wordplay
response
thing.
kind of
Yeah,
stuff,
and that
yeah.
was really awesome, man. When I first heard that, I didn't expect that when I put that on, because I'd only had the old version of Ressurection.
Right.
And that was a big surprise, and that was awesome.
It's funny, a lot of the things that changed when we re-recorded everything, there was a lot more singing as opposed to screaming, and that was a choice that we made, like in the band itself. That was our decision. That wasn't like a you need to go more mainstream kind of decision.
It wasn't like a label decision.
And there was a lot of it when we did the EP in the first place that I didn't have a lot of time to do those tracks. So by the time we were done, my throat was just cashed, and so all I could do was scream at some points. And I went back and I had a couple of years to think about it. And when we went back and re-recorded, it was like I really could put in some more melody here. And with Ressurection in particular, though, it was funny. We were sitting there debating because that was in its original form was such a heavy tune. And we were like, man, I had written a melody with it that we also thought was cool, and there was a big debate, like, well, what do we want to do? And we eventually just said, screw it, let's do both. We got Mike and we got me. We have two singers that can do anything that we want, so let's just utilize a call and response. And a lot of people were like kind of shocked by that. I think it came out cooler because of it. You get the best of both worlds.
It made it like not only a more mature song, but it made it just so it added emotion on top of that as well. It really did.
And it still punches you.
Punches you in the face. So, what is your personal favorite on the album?
Morning Star and Take This I really love. I really love those two songs. It's always a hard question because I'm in love with all those tunes.
They're all your babies.
Yeah, they are, man. Even Basement, even though that's been around a really long time now for us. That's one of the tricky parts is you play it for a long time, and if it doesn't lose its emotional grasp on you, then it's a good thing, But I'd say Morning Star and Take This are really. I really love Babylon too. I'm very proud of this record.
Things like Babylon, Sandra, Stardust,
all of them.
I just love them all.
I do.
So, what are some things that you have to have out on the road with you?
I get this question a lot. I'm pretty simple, man. I mean, you need clothes, obviously, and shower stuff whenever we get the chance.
Clothes and shower?
Clothes and shower. We bring a lot of exercise equipment, bring weights with us to pass the time. I study martial arts, so I bring some of the apparatus training with me.
Really?
Yeah, so I'll do that in my spare time. And books. Books in my iPods. Need music in the drives.
You gotta have music.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty bare bones though, really. Just ways to keep yourself occupied during the day, working out and staying healthy, and especially, when you're touring in like fall, like this kind of weather and stuff. I got really sick on this tour when we were up in Canada. It was freezing, and we were walking around in the rain, and just trying to stay healthy it's a difficult task.
I can imagine, man. Yeah. So, what if you could go back whenever you first started, like, what is some advice you would give yourself that you know now that you didn't know then?
Patience, young grasshopper.
Were you not very patient back then?
I don't think anybody is when they're that age.
You just wanted to, like, get in, go on tour, fight for your death punch?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I'll see younger bands when we're out. Not so much on this tour necessarily because it's a tour package. We haven't really had a lot of openers, but on some of the other tours where you have the local bands that are, they're teens or whatever, and you don't realize the amount of work and energy that goes into it. You think, when I was first starting bands and I was like 13 to 14, you think it's just like, oh, I'm going to sign a record deal, and I'm going to go to arenas, and I'll just play rock and roll.
And I'm going to make millions of dollars.
And that's like that, easy peasy, right? It's not the case, man. There's a lot of work involved. And not that that's a bad thing. I don't even know how you would explain that to my younger self and have you get it. You know what I mean? At that age, you're just there for the passion of it. You don't realize that it does become a career. It does become a job in some sense. And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But that's just something you got to learn over time. I went to school for music at a couple different schools, and there's not a class or a book that teaches you about being on the road. You just have to do it. You just have to be out there grinding it to really learn what the game's all about.
Yeah, exactly. So what? We talked about like how you find your song is emotional. Like what's a song that hits you hard?
There's a song called Simple Boy by Carnival hits me really hard. Cemetery Gates from Pantera's always hit me. That solo used to make me cry as a kid.
Really?
Just, oh man, the emotion, like the solo in Floods. Dime was just such an influence on me because I play guitar too.
Really?
Yeah, I've played guitar for 20 years. Yeah, Dime was a huge influence on me, and just the emotion he was able to put in the strings was always pretty overwhelming to me.
Because it's like someone like that can like write a story with a guitar.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just it. Like
Yeah.
you feel it. It's not, you don't have to have lyrics. Like you can feel what he was putting in his guitar, and that's just insane.
Yeah.
Whenever you get to that level,
That's mastery, man.
golden.
That's
Yeah.
pure mastery. There's a couple tech songs. There's one on not the most recent record, the record before that, called Alone, that really gets to me. He's talking about, touring and being on the road, and how, again, everybody thinks it's like glitz and glamour, and then he's like, when the tour bus door shuts and everybody's gone, and you miss home, you miss family and stuff. And, things like that really get to me.
Yeah. So I think that's really all that I had for you. I mean, what do you want to tell your awesome fans?
Thank you. Without them, man, it's, we wouldn't be doing this, and it just keeps growing. The support from day one of the the original Sinners that we've had, really just spreading the word and sticking with us constantly has helped the wildfire kind of grow. And these new fans that we're accumulating from this tour and all the tours we've done this year. We've been out with great bands this year, and they've all been really supportive of us, and all their fans gravitated to us and stuck with us, and it's just constantly growing, so it's a huge thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching videos from this tour of you guys playing, and the crowd receives you guys so good.
It's
like,
it's really amazing.
Yeah,
to us,
it's
man.
crazy.
When we stand up there, and that these guys don't know who we are yet. Not all of them anyway. Some of them do for sure. There's definitely a group of kids at every show that's there that are fans of ours already, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those kids that don't know who we are, and to still see them, like, the first song they kind of watch, and then they get into it, they start freaking out. This is like, I can't help it, we're playing hard rock or whatever, you want to be all tough on stage. I find myself just like grinning at the crowd, just having a blast,
You have to, man.
Yeah,
It's going to get old if you can't laugh and smile about it, especially just being on stage. It's going to get old. It's got to be fun. Yeah, see, that's funny because, like, my friend Tyler, he's coming tonight, and he was like, hey, what time does the band before Fight for Your Death Punch come on? And I told him, and he's like, oh, that's when I'm getting there. And I'm like, no, you need to get there when Gemini Syndrome plays. I was like, you got to see these guys. I was like, they're going to blow you away. So
thanks for that.
His ass is coming here. All right. And I'll be down in the pit singing every song with you.
I like it, man.
And have a good one. Done.